welcome to our October Cosmic Weather Report. I'm Marcella Eversole with Soul Level Astrologer Mark Borax, chiming in here from the eastern shores of the United States. And today we have a focus on talking about the grand square that's happening here in October, the pressurized invitation to arrive. So I know it's been a while since we've been online, and we've definitely been doing a lot of overhauling in both our personal lives and our work lives. So I am looking forward to coming back in this particular space, talking stars and astrology, and looking forward to what Mark has to say today. So see if I can bring Mark in. All right, I'll turn it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcella. Hi, everybody. This is Soul Level Astrologer Mark Borax coming to you live with the Cosmic Weather Report for Wednesday, October 15th, Year of the Snake, from the mountains of southern Vermont, where the leaves have mostly turned. And I'm talking about the grand square that goes on through this entire month of October. It's not always the same four planets, but it's most of the same planets with a little bit of substitutes, but there's always a square as far as I can tell. And what does that mean? Well, squares form when one planet is 90 degrees from another planet. And squares challenge us to get real, to come down to earth, to fully show up, to gain presence and stand our ground. All of which are very, very much needed now. If any time of history on planet Earth, there was a need for the true human being to show up and land and arrive and be counted for, it is now. And I want to say it is now or never, because humanity is at a crossroads. So the power of a square is to create a pressurized situation which can feel daunting and exaggerated and dramatic, or possibly even hopeless and confining, and yet use it instead as a pressure to force a deep response from your core nature rather than your ego self. So there's a beautiful method to the madness. There's a way to work with the pressures that are coming on, not just in the month of October, though the grand square is a real encapsulation of pressures that are going to be there anyway. But there's a way to use those pressures. And so when one planet is 90 degrees away from another, that forms a pressurized energy called the square. But what's going on now is a grand square. And that's the granddaddy of all squares. That's where one planet is 90 degrees from a second planet, which is 90 degrees from a third, which is 90 degrees from the first. So there's four planets at right angles to each other, forming a celestial box in the sky that persists through this whole month. And that means if you find yourself in a pressurized situation and the tension is mounting, you can ask yourself, is this crazy dramatic pressure more of a wake-up call than an obstacle? Could it even be more of a blessing than a curse? Could every strange, wacky thing that's happening wrong all over the planet right now on Earth at this period in history actually have a deeper positive value to it? These are the questions of the square, but you can't really answer, you can't fully answer square questions by thinking your way into analyzing the answer. It has to be that you put your body on the line. You come into being. any parts of you that are seduced to fly away and depart and give up and subtract yourself have to reverse field on that and let the very same pressure that would scare you away compel your greater existence to arrive. It's like a martial art. It's like switching judo on your opponent, using their own strength against them. It takes an awakening, and not just once, but it takes awakening to realize you have a lot more power than you think when you're first getting all chewed up by the situation, by the pressure of the square. It's all seeming intense. The world is ending. Nothing's working right. I'm going to fail. It's not working. I'm going to die. Humanity's going to die. We're going to get hit by an asteroid. Donald Trump is president. There's chemtrails in the sky. People are dying from medical shots. Anything that is happening in the pressure, whether it's collective or personal or both, has an equal pressure to permeate your ego self and wake up your core nature, your magical, earthly, cosmic core identity. And that's where you have choice. That's where human choice comes in. You might not be able to stop the crazy things from happening. You might not be able to stop the crazy pressurized shit from going on all over the place. But what you can do is bring more of your authentic self into it rather than letting it frighten you into departing out of it. This is a martial art. It's a master art. It's a karma yoga. It's not easy to do, but it does work. And sometimes you have to keep repeating it over and over and over and over, sometimes for years or decades or lifetimes. And so if you look at the scary situations as wake-up calls more than obstacles and burdens, and you realize the call is to draw forth your true nature, to summon more of who you really are into the earth stew, the karmic gumbo in the physical plane, then you'll be harnessing the power of the square to catalyze enormous change that is so needed on planet Earth at this time. So that's the art of the pressurized invitation to arrive. It's a shamanic art. The same screwed up shit that's going on that that could just stop me, I can meet as a summons to bring more of my infinite, magical, multidimensional self into my body, in the physical plane, into my core. And it's a martial art. Now, even though some of the corners of the grand square in October are going to shift planets a little bit, mostly two planets persist as corners, and it's Jupiter and Chiron, also known as Alpha Omega. Jupiter and Alpha Omega. And those are the two most forward-looking forces in the sky, which means that even if things are really closing in on you and feeling intense or insoluble or hopeless, there's something really bright and high in the energy that you can only get to if you aim the trajectory of your soul into the situation like a catapult. It's the catapult antidote to the grand square. Jupiter holds the blueprint of the most that you could ever be. Wow. Whoa. There's this force that we call Jupiter who holds the picture of your greatest destination, the fullest, richest, most fully blossomed version of yourself is held in the giant God's sphere of Jupiter. Jupiter's so big, all the other planets could fit inside Jupiter. Wow. Okay. Wow. And what's that holding? That huge sphere. The most you could ever be. If you aim your life at that trajectory, which means you got to say no to half measures and quasi fulfillments and almost love, and that Jupiter square, instead of just pushing on you and kicking your ass, will catapult your fuller arrival. And Chiron Alpha Omega holds a dimensional bridge that bridges the dimension of everything dark and bad that's happened in human history with the dimension of everything bright and beautiful that's intended to happen. There's this rainbow bridge called Alpha Omega. So with Jupiter and Chiron Alpha Omega holding down the changing other corners of the grand square this month, there really is a much extra added reason to motivate yourself into really showing up, really arriving, giving your outrageous, magical love nature the great benefit of the doubt that we need you. We need you to be your crazy self. Okay, Marcel, I'm going to check to see if there's any. You got any things in the studio? Wait, I can't hear you.
I don't have any comments, but I'm definitely appreciating this martial artist take on how to work with a square. I feel like that example really illustrates how the self-awareness, right, of a martial artist understands its own nature and ability to move, but then it's constantly putting itself in these external challenges to grow itself. So I feel like that's a really good way of thinking about this month and the square.
Yeah, you said it well. Yeah, you said it very well, that there's this part of us that constantly puts us in the way of these challenges in order to find out what we're really made of. And, it's kind of a masochistic reason for a species, but it also has some sort of paradoxical rightfulness to it. It's just, it takes a big heart and a lot of generosity and humility to recognize the strange craziness of our times and the strange craziness of our species and the strange craziness of our own individual nature might actually be playing a positive creative role in the universe, in the drama, in the karmic theater of the galaxy. It's the art of the time. We need human beings to realize they are so much more than who they think they are, and how other people view them as being, who their mother ever saw them as. And Earth and life, existence, is so much more than the highest human IQ could ever even barely begin to imagine. The too muchness becomes a blessing rather than a burden when you realize, of course, you can't deal with everything that's happening because there's a multitude of beings inside you. And which ones even should you bring up to march into the earth schooling and give them marching orders? It takes a fucking, 78 years to even start to figure that out. It's not just too much because you're failing. It's too much because it's all too much.
Well, and on that point, I have a question for you, actually. Because my attention has been so much on how we've just been given this time period where all the planets moved into the signs that they're going to be in like spring of 2026, but they all started going retrograde last month, and so now they're all moving back into Pisces. And so this too muchness and the overwhelm of it all, I sometimes wonder if part of that is because of all this Piscean energy and how it's trying to clear stuff out. I mean, that's the way that I work with it, is like, okay, it's just all this ancestral stuff, literally, 4,000 years of built up civilization stuff is like moving out of the collective. It's gonna be fucking crazy. And some things are dying. And my hope is that that helps it be less hard to distinguish between what is important and what's not important. And so kind of letting the things that need to die so that there's less in the muck of what you have to then prioritize as having importance or not importance, feels like it gets more manageable. But I was just really feeling, as you were talking about especially using the word catapult, that like this square feels like it has the potential to actually help us catapult out of the muck into what's going to be coming, that, God, I pray, is going to be more positive than some of what we have been dealing with. And I wondered what your take might be on that. Like, I don't know how many, I think it's 6 planets or something. I'd have to go look at my notes, but it's a major amount of planets that are now in new signs, and they're going to be in those new signs for some of them for quite a long time. So this square does feel of import in that way too.
Yeah. It feels as though something solid and trustworthy, like a stone foundation, is being laid in the living earth, in the new world that's trying to be born out of the shedding snake skin of the old world, since we're still in the year of the snake.
Yeah.
And we're going to take off in February when we enter the year of the horse, but we're in the tail end of the snake. Not quite the tail end. We're still in the belly, but we're heading toward the tail. And there's a shedding, just even with the chaos, like in the 1960s. I lived through this. Even with the chaos, even with the added chaos and the fear mongering, and the woe is me, end of the world stuff that's going on, nonetheless, and actually even not despite all that, but because of all that, we're learning what's real and what's solid and what is not up for grabs. What part of your living truth, where in your body are you immutable? Where are you fixed? Where are you squared? And so it's laying a foundation for just, wow, having so many fewer things to trust or believe in or rely on anymore is actually not just a curse. It's a blessing, because now I'm getting to what I should always have been relying upon before, which is the truth of my soul. And so the square can kind of demolish everything that's in the way of the truth of the soul. So maybe what happens is you learn how to enact with the physical plane in such a way that brings more of who you really are on the inside into the occasion. Maybe that's the art.
Yeah. Well, I have to go pick up kids. So I'm gonna have to shut off. But can I give you some good news?
Sure.
I think we're gonna get this house.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to take 1 minute to just share this example of sort of what you're talking about.
Go ahead.
So I went, so Mark and I have been looking for a rental house so that we can gather around our child who's going to school in a different town than we've been living in New Hampshire. And we show up and we look at this house, and there is like a gigantic, like 15-foot skeleton with chains around its neck staring at the front door of the house, and this Jeep with a Trump sign in it that says like Trump, Kennedy, and all these Halloween things. And we find out that there's like a family feud happening between these two houses, the owners of these two houses. And they had chickens. We were afraid, oh my God, what if these folks are just super contentious and we're not going to be able to work through what things might be ahead of us in this situation? We talked it over. So I showed up today, I knocked on their door. So I brought our kid up there to take a look at the house and kind of feel into it. I knocked on the door. They didn't answer, but they were home. So they were home and they didn't answer. So I left a note. And within 20 minutes, actually it wasn't even 20 minutes, within 10 minutes, the woman whose name, well, I won't give her name, called me back. We had this great conversation, and I think it's going to be just fine. She told me how she, yeah, it's going to be, and it was
I'm
so
so relieved. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to always figure out what the real needs are and cross the bridges wherever the tensions or the struggles seem like they could be unworkable. It's worth a conversation to find out. Just don't make assumptions. Don't presume the worst is there, and just keep talking to each other, because I think that's one of the ways the cages are being built, is like keeping us from talking to one another. So anyway, she was so glad I reached out. I think it's going to be a positive.
Great. It's great. The giant zombie biker skeleton turns out to be the beautiful neighbor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be
cool.
too Pollyanna-ish about it. We don't exactly know, but I know that it's a neighbor who cares about conversation, who wants to be in conversation, wants to be in a relationship, is willing to work things out. So
cool.
All right, I love
That's
you.
great.
I'm heading off to go pick up kids.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
So just to wrap up, after that little piece of karmic theater for me and Marcella's life, I welcome you to recognize the great gift that your soul sent to Earth is you. It's your authentic self, your core nature. And that's the only thing you owe to this world, to this species, is to learn how to just be who you really are. Thank you. This has been Mark Borax, soul level astrologer here on Putney Mountain in Vermont, with the cosmic weather report for October 15th, year of the snake. A grand square in October, the pressurized invitation to arrive. I'm still doing readings. We're collecting people for next year's chart study class, and sending out a lot of love and transformation to wherever it needs to go. Thank you for joining us. Get one of my books. They're really great reads. Cosmic Weather Report, Ruby Heart of the Dragon, 2012 Crossing the Bridge to the Future. I'm working on a science fiction novel right now, and I will let you know more about it as time passes.